right. Well, you ready?
Yep.
To get culty?
Let's get cultiny.
Let's get culty. Hi, I'm Jacob Grenz.
And I'm Winnie Stone.
And this is Come on in, Queens. And come on in, cult members. Because today we're talking about religious cults. And we're comparing that to Survivor. Mm-hmm. And not just Survivor, but kind of like culturally what we see with cults and followers. And
yes, because in the research and the outline and everything, I'm learning that cult-like things sort of permeate society. We'll get into it.
Yeah. How are you, though?
I'm good. It takes me 5 minutes to scoot over here, but it's still like such an ordeal. I still have to touch everything up.
Did you have the 10-mile skirt on as you were coming over here? I love that. Were you picking it up, or were you just letting it?
Because it kept blowing between my legs. I was like, no.
Throw that skirt out. What is it? What material is this? Canvas?
Honestly, it's like so thick. I'm feeling very, what did you say?
Trad wife. Trad wife, Pentecostal. That really fits into our theme today.
If I had enough hair, I would braid it in an elaborate braid.
Ooh, but you mentioned something about your hair. Tell us an update on your hair. When I shush you is when I want to hear it on the podcast. You sort of go into it. I'm like, nope.
You won't see it for like another month, but on Friday I'm getting bangs cut.
That's exciting. Yeah. So it's long enough that you can have our friend Mark trim it. Mm-hmm. So you have the Taylor Swift bangs.
Yeah, just cutting off the split ends and doing some bangs so I don't have to worry so much about the scars getting exposed to the sun all summer for the rest of the summer. He told me to look up pictures of Bixies, and I said, what the fuck is a Bixie?
Well, tell us now, because I don't know either.
It's a bob and a pixie cut.
Okay, that's just what it sounds like.
Yeah, and he kept saying, and shags, and I was like, I want a shag.
I don't want a shag.
That's like so the opposite of my style. But shag, pixie, bob, that's kind of a Bixie.
Great.
So, yeah, it's gonna be fun. I don't know. I've never literally the last time I got my haircut was last October.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I've just been so no length off. I want it to grow, but when I blow dry it and then I go to brush it with a wet brush and everything, so it's shouldn't be hard on your hair. It gets to the ends and it's like so I'm like, is that split ends? And Mark's like, yes, honey, that's split ends.
I mean, that was for a purpose. I feel like I relate to it in the sense that when we went into the pandemic and then everything shut down, and it was the longest I had ever gone without a haircut. When everything opened up for the most part again, which was a long time if you remember, salons open and close and open and close. As soon as I got an appointment, that was the very first thing that I did and scheduled to make me feel human again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've cut my own hair for the last 15 years.
I just picture you with a Flowbee. Remember the Flowbees?
Yes. I mean, basically, I would zoom up the sides, and then I would put the mirror between my legs in the shower, bend completely over, and then cut
and
the
then
top.
go the bangs. Okay. Wow.
And it worked out, but now I'm a lady, so
yeah.
Go see Mark at Siren Salon, Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Good plug. Oh, he lost his ball.
Come here, Finny.
All right. Well, should we get into it?
Yeah, I'm ready. Well, how are you? You didn't tell me how you are. What?
Oh, hi, baby. He is not chewing the hard toy today, so he might be able to stay, but that toy is going to squeak and probably annoy me. Right. So we'll see how he does. I had to ban K-pop Demon Hunters, the music, because it was so stuck in my head that I would wake up singing it. And I could not get it out of my head. So I had to, stop listening to it. It's, yeah.
I feel like outrageous. That was, that's the secret recipe that some scientists, concocted for that. I did watch it with my little 4-year-old Charge last Saturday night.
Love that.
She loved it until she didn't. Because, there's a point where they, start meeting in secret. There's, not a lot of stuff happening.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, we play Bobbies again?
Yeah, it wasn't keeping her interest.
Yeah. But it was really cute.
Yeah.
And I have been singing the songs all week. So.
Golden, that's the one that was stuck in my head, and I was like, if I see it because now my feed is all K-pop Demon Hunters on Instagram, so I have to like quickly speed through it. But other than that, I'm fine. I'm a little nervous. I generally get nervous when I have to talk about this, and I have a lot. But it's still like it's very vulnerable and personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I've told my story many times over the years. Parvati's book is top of mind as we just read it, and we were kind of had to shuffle things again. We were going to talk about it today, but part of reclaiming my power when I was in my 20s was being able to speak out about what had happened to me. But that's always threatening. And it's sort of a dual-edged sword at that time anyways, because I still know people, a majority of my family, that are still part of this cult.
Okay, well, let's get into it. So I do want to touch on that again.
Yeah.
Of the fallout and how you deal with it day to day now.
Yeah. So, well, let's back up. So since we're talking a majority of the first part, we'll talk about religious cults.
Okay.
How well do you know the Bible? Do you know like Bible 101?
I mean, I feel like I know what the average person, the average agnostic human being knows.
All right, well, let's just do a quick one.
Yeah.
All right, so the Bible is two parts. It's the Old Testament, which is primarily the Torah, or what the Jewish people follow. The first 5 books of the Bible is the story of leading the Israelites out of Egyptian enslavement and into Israel, God's promised land, which thousands of years later, we're still seeing a lot of activity around that.
Yeah.
And then it's cobbled together with a bunch of other books. There's actually a queer love story in the Bible. It's meant to be David and Jonathan, which is in Samuel, I think. No mention of that. And also,
I've never heard mention of that.
Oh, yeah.
Can you give me like a brief?
Yeah, so David and Jonathan are really portrayed as really close friends, but they kiss in the Bible. There's a lot of theories that could have potentially been how it was at the time, like men were more affectionate during that time, or something else. So we don't know. And
nobody interprets the Bible in different ways.
No, yeah, right.
Pertaining to their biases.
And according to their own biases and how they want it to go.
Yeah.
And so there's that story. But, you were left out of the Bible. Trans people never talked about.
I mean, maybe they're in the, Dead Sea Scrolls. Maybe
that's right.
Just was rewritten many times by kings. When I learned that at a young age, I was like, I already thought that like religion was kind of hokey, but when I learned that, I was like, wait. Humans and stuff like took it, especially like kings and shit, and like rewrote it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, and people like still blindly follow it? Like, that just baffled me.
Yeah, I mean, it's still baffling to anybody who would get educated on the matter, right? But if you're in it, it's very hard to see out of that, and it's very hard to question it. So me growing up, I sort of was in the freeze response. Like Parvati talks about the 4 survival responses. Mm-hmm. For me, growing up in this institution that I grew up with, it was like, don't speak out, don't talk negatively about it, because, you can be punished. Yeah. And so I was very quiet. I followed the rules. I just kind of stuck with what it was and tried to be the perfect little cult member.
Okay, what was the cult?
Which was what?
What was the cult? Tell us about.
Oh, let's go back to the Bible. Yes. Okay, so I'm leading up to that. So the Old Testament is cobbled together, gay love stories. The main scriptures that condemn gay people are in Leviticus and Deuteronomy. Mm-hmm. Deuteronomy we can throw out because that's the abomination scriptures where it's like, there's contradiction around gay people are abomination, and then shellfish and
mixed fabrics.
Yeah, and mixed fabrics. Poly cotton blend is you're definitely an abomination today. But this I don't think literally. This is one fabric. Maybe. I don't know. And then Leviticus, and that's where we talk about translation, right? Like Leviticus was ancient Hebrew to English, and it's very contested. There's a scripture about men who lie with men. And that's used by all types of people, Christians mainly, to condemn homosexuality. It's really intended. There's a book called A Question of Truth that I'll share that I read once I was excommunicated from the church. That's about the translation. And like you said, it was written over many, many years. It was likely a lot of these books were credited to one writer, whereas they may have had many, many writers. And it really was translated in a way that suited them at the time. Men Who Lie with Children is a more accurate translation of that particular scripture.
That makes much more sense. And also, like, it's just, one sentence. What are they? They're not called sentences in the Bible. What, verse or...
Oh, it's a verse. Yeah, Bible verse. I think that's what you mean.
It's one, and it was translated 8 million times.
Yeah.
So we're really going to, like, zero in on this one, like, turn of phrase and go, this means that all gay people deserve to burn in hell.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And I mean, there's been scriptures in the Bible used in pro of slavery, for example, because at that time, slavery was accepted. There's been scriptures that have condemned multiracial marriage. So you could really pick apart scripture in any way that suits you, because it's an old book. It's going to have things that, people can latch onto and use against you.
Yeah.
So that's the Old Testament. The New Testament is the gospel of Jesus, mainly Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Okay.
And this is the perspective of them writing, but again, probably multiple writers writing this, and the perspective of Jesus' life. Conspicuously, they leave out about 15 years of Jesus' life in the Bible, from the time he was about 14 to 30.
When he got all his experimenting in.
Yeah, probably. Jesus could have been a homosexual. It's true. I mean, they're really... Now, this part I start to get into what is the Da Vinci Code and what is actual reality. But then it's thought that the Catholic Church really controlled what got into the New Testament or the Gospel of Jesus based on whether it was an opinion that they wanted to be expressed about Jesus. There's a great book. I'll also post this one before we wrap up our Bible 101. It's called Rabbi Jesus. It's a very good historical look at the life of Jesus through those years that are missing in the Bible. So if you are a historian or interested in theology, then that's a great, great book. And it was part of, for me, like, there was a lot of books that were part of deprogramming. So getting to what you originally asked, where is my religion that I was raised with fall into that? The New Testament wraps up in a fantasistical way. It's the book of Revelation. That's the last book of the Bible. Have you ever gotten a glimpse of the book of Revelation?
Isn't that like the end of times?
That is, yeah.
I thought that was in the Old Testament.
No, that's the New Testament, and it ends with a bang. And a lot of the sci-fi and horror imagery that we see today, like, for example, the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, as you said, the War of Armageddon, the Rapture, the Mark of the Beast, these are all elements in the book of Revelation, so it's a very fantasistical book.
Okay, yeah. I've always thought that the book of Revelations was in the Old Testament, and the whole idea was like, oh, the Old Testament's really like brimstone and terror, and the New Testament's a little like lighter.
Yeah. It's a little bit more progressive, but like Republicans...
But the world still ends!
But the world still ends. Republicans are now saying that Jesus was a liberal, because a lot of the teachings that he has in the Gospel of Jesus are very, what we would call today, liberal teachings.
Yeah, like being nice to people.
Like
accepting
being
people
nice
for
to
who they
people.
are.
Yeah.
Helping the poor, helping the weakest among us.
Helping the weakest among us. Yeah, I mean, there's that whole parable that Jesus says about if you put clothes on the weakest of me, you put clothes on me. If you fed the weakest, you fed me. That sort of a thing. I'm going back and forth whether or not I want to say the name of the church. I can always blurb it out. So Jehovah's Witnesses really center on the book of Revelation. Revelation is mostly about the end of days, and a lot of people believe that God would bring up people to heaven, whereas Jehovah's Witnesses believe that God would wipe out all the non-believers and bring the earth back to paradise conditions like was originally intended by Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden.
So like the Rapture Plus, or
the Rapture Plus, yeah, that's a good analogy. It's 144,000 is the scripture in the Bible. It says 144,000 chosen people, which they take very literally to be those would be the ones that go up to heaven. The rest of us, well, not the rest of us, the rest of the believers or Jehovah's Witnesses, the cult, would be the ones that stay on the earth and bring the earth back to perfection and back to Eden.
Okay. Now, this whole thing might get cut if you don't want to talk about it.
I'm open.
But tell me why, where does the name come from? Who's Jehovah? Why are you witnessing him? What's up with that?
A lot of people ask that.
What's up with that?
So Jehovah is meant to be the name of God. In the ancient scripture, it's Yahweh,
yes.
Which you maybe have heard.
Yes.
But the idea of Jehovah's Witnesses was just that they would speak the name of God.
Okay.
And then the witnessing part is the proselytizing. So if you ever had Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on your door when you were a kid, mm-hmm. I was one of them. Not on your door, but like on somebody's door.
We actually, after we moved out of the city, we moved to like the country, and like my dad still lives like on the farm. Like we have barns and everything, no animals, but like we moved from the city to the farm.
Uh-huh.
But it's like nice, quiet, like spacious. And then somebody bought the property next to us, and the only place in the entire property that was like able to sustain building a house was next to our yard.
Oh my god!
So we moved
right
to get all this space, and then like house
there you
right
go.
there
House.
In the middle of nowhere. We have like next door neighbor, but never spoke to them. Barely ever saw them because I believe that they were Jehovah's Witnesses and they wanted nothing to do with us. So.
Yeah, and that's part of the teachings, right? Is to control information and to set up this us versus them mentality, which that goes across the board in a lot of organizations we see, right? We see it in MAGA, like control the information, disseminate it, get rid of the media, get anybody who would talk against it out of the picture so that we control the narrative.
Yep.
And us versus them, right? It's a very like, we're the right people, we're the only way to truth, and you can't get to truth without us. And honestly, why I've had, at first I had issues, now I completely own the story, right? This is as Parvati would say, a reclamation of my power. Is like me being able to say what it is, it was a cult, and me being able to talk about my experience in an open way without worrying about the repercussions. Because when I initially started talking about it, I was excommunicated, by the way, from the church when I was 23 because I was gay. When that happened, it was like Parvati talks about to her parents, right? It's like, you're kicked out. You know that this is wrong. You know it's wrong, but you have no community. My family cut me off. My community, everybody that I had known up to the age of 23, existed over here. So I was isolated and ostracized from this organization, but yet still thinking, this is right. This is right over here.
You weren't like, yeah, fuck you. You are wrong. Eat shit because you're like kicking me to the curb because of something I can't even help. You were like, don't kick me out. I love it here.
It was the middle. Yeah, it was kind of in between, right? It's like, I knew by that time, because I had enough experience and education, and also like, I didn't fit the rules. I didn't fit the gender norms, masculine and feminine. And also being gay itself, like the question or the answer in the Jehovah's Witness faith is that you remain celibate or you marry a woman. Those are your two choices as a gay person. And so knowing that and going to a very dark space, I knew that I had to get out, but yet all of that programming, all of that conditioning for so many years, I'm seeing that as I had to leave. They kicked me out. Should I go back? And then I'm seeing the gay community, who became my friends and my support system at the time, as the others, right? Like, these were the non-believers that were going to die.
But you had already made friends with these people?
I had made friends with them, but I was sort of feeling ostracized from both groups, right? Feeling different, but also feeling like I didn't fit in either place. So it was a matter of deprogramming, right? So that's where I started to go and research, what are other organizations, who has this happened to in this organization? There's a whole resource of people that this has happened to, and it still happens to this day.
Oh, yeah.
In this faith, but then I started to research Latter-day Saints, the Church of Scientology. There are a lot of examples of the markers of a cult in the religious ecosystem.
So, if I recall correctly, I feel like part of your story was you were almost excommunicated, but then you like walked back some stuff and stayed for a little while longer, and then again. But before that, so I do want to hear that. Before that, just talk to me about like what was your everyday, like what parts were like totally normal modern life that you were able to sort of be amongst, and then what parts were like so clearly different than anyone that you were around or media and all that.
Well, I mean, they do a great job of keeping you away from external sources. So as you mentioned, living so close to a Jehovah's Witness family likely, and them not talking to you, there's a reason for that.
Did you go to public school? I
did go to public school.
Okay.
Although homeschooling and higher education is really discouraged because they don't want you to learn that this is bullshit. I did go to public school. I guess there is an idyllic side to this, right?
Wait, do you mean public school is discouraged?
No, higher education beyond high school.
You said homeschooling.
Homeschooling is encouraged.
Okay.
Sorry, homeschooling is encouraged and higher education is discouraged.
That makes sense.
So my parents, though, were like, yeah, you got to have the experience of going to a public school. So what that felt like is essentially, imagine just like thinking that all of the friends that you see at school are eventually going to die. Yeah,
you're like, you're cool, but like you're going to hell.
Yeah,
you're getting raptured, boo.
You're getting raptured. It really just sets you apart. Like, and as already a gay kid, as you can attest to, like you're already other a little bit, and so then I had this other weird thing that was other. So I'm just like, I just don't fit here at all. So
and you can't be either or.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
you can't. You have to choose one way.
Rough.
And so, I mean, there's an idyllic part of this, right? I think that Parvati talks about it in the way that her parents talk about the commune. But, you know, they painted a picture of just like her running around carefree and playing with her friends.
Yeah, she was like, I loved it until I didn't.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like with, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses and fellow believers, you know, inside the church of like, I got to play with my friends and like these similar beliefs. But yet there's this darkness underneath that's happening.
Mm-hmm. What was your how was your week set up? How often did you go to church? How often did you go to like church events?
So the church takes up most of your time. So beyond school, then you have church services about 3 times a week. And then on off days, you're supposed to study the Bible and go to proselytize or convert, which is the door-to-door service that you see Jehovah's Witnesses do on Saturday. So it's every day. There's no escaping it. So yeah, I mean, it was all-consuming. And sort of a lot of it being all-consuming is like, especially for my parents, which I really do understand, they grew up in the organization. They really did follow the rules of the organization. They didn't go to higher education. They didn't go to college. So for them, this was the only thing they knew. This was it. And, you know, part of me speaking out against it over the years and hearing them being very threatened by that almost always reconfirmed that this is my truth is the correct truth, because at times I would be labeled an apostate. A lot of organizations like Church of Scientology calls it,
undesirable.
Well, I was thinking of the Nexium cult too. They call it something too, but I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
You know, the sex cult where they get, suppressive people.
Suppressive people. Yes.
So that's more common. A suppressive person is just somebody who speaks out against it and is almost worse because you're swaying new followers from coming in because you're saying, hey, stay away from this organization. The sad part about that is that they generally prey on the most vulnerable people who have had trauma, people who need to explain what happens when we die, like, which is a big question that none of us know, and that can be a fearful question, especially if you've lost somebody. So, yeah, what was the question before that? Did you have one?
I wanted you to talk about how you came to be almost expert.
Oh, yeah,
maybe even you were and still came back.
You have a good memory. as I started to get older, obviously, like...
I think I remember it because it's kind of funny, right?
It is kind of funny.
bit.
Maybe. I mean, we have dark sense of humor.
I know
It's
we
kind of
laughed
funny in,
about
like,
it
a
because
ha-ha
you
way.
were like, I'm not gay, I just am on drugs.
Oh, right. You know, that's exactly right. The freeze response was a big survival mechanism. Follow the rules, don't speak up, you won't be harmed that way. And then when I turned 14 and the hormones start to kick in and I start to fall in love with my straight friends, but yet is this a phase? Is my sexuality going to go away? And I started to act out in ways that a teenager would act out, but in ways that were more fight response. So my parents started to notice this, right? They're like, what happened to our sweet, young, innocent boy, right? Because now I'm questioning the belief system. I'm questioning, where do I fit in this belief system? And then they're starting to notice, and they're starting to think that potentially I'm on drugs because that would be the only explanation for how I was acting.
Yeah.
And so one night I came home from a party. I think I was smoking pot. That's the most I had ever done to that point. And I was drinking. And my dad confronts me. And I just suddenly dropped that I had been doing crystal meth. Because in my brain at that time, this is the only explanation that I could think of why I was like revolting or why I was turning against the religion.
Yeah.
So I was ushered onto the elders of the congregation, and I had to tell them this fake made-up story, and I even included like shooting up in between my toes. Because I read about it.
Elaborate. You couldn't have just said, I've been smoking weed?
I felt so trapped that I had to fabricate this story. I'm not ready at this point to accept my own sexuality, and I'm sort of being thrust in this, what happened to our sweet little kid? And the only explanation, and I knew that the thing is that I knew that they would accept this as an explanation.
Yeah.
I knew. It was almost like they kind of knew, like you've talked about already, but they didn't yet themselves want to accept it.
Yeah.
So they're like, on shooting up crystal meth, that's the reason.
Great, we can save you. We can save you from
Great.
that.
We can save you. So when I was excommunicated that time, that was where I was like, oh my God, I have nothing else.
Well, because how old were you?
I was 18.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, like, they really could have kicked you to the curb and you would have just, like, been on your own, and that was that.
But at that point, I had no feelers out into anything else except
Yeah.
the organization. So I'm like, basically, you come to the church and nobody talks to you. You're not allowed to talk to anybody. Nobody's allowed to talk to you. So you basically have to show up to the church services. Not even your family is supposed to talk to you during this time. So it's just me solo for 6 months. And going to church, and that's all I'm doing. And I write a letter to be reinstated. After about 3 months, they rejected me. In 6 months, they reinstated me into the church.
Okay, so this is after high school?
After high school, I graduated, yep.
Before college?
Before college. I went to college later, because remember, they discourage higher education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if, like, they made an exception because you also got to go to public school.
Yeah.
So you literally were not even out and about Monday through Friday to go and, like, talk to others. You literally were, like, given the silent treatment for 6 months.
For 6 months, yeah.
I'm so sorry. That is awful.
I know. It was, I think about it now, and of course, again, this is like, when I talk about it now, and I think I have to tell people this because whenever I've told this story to people, I get the head tilt.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't need that anymore, right? This is a story that I can tell because of the years of work without any pain coming to me. There's still a little bit of like, if this publicly is heard and, you know, somebody from my family gets it, it's hurtful to them. And they will again come after me and say, you're an apostate. And it's that whole dance.
Yeah.
But I've also accepted that, right? Again, like I said, if I threaten your truth, my truth threatens your truth, kind of reconfirms that it's my truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were let back in for 3 more years? 4 more years?
Yeah, about 4 more years.
And then what happened when you were ex-commed?
Ex-commed. Oh my God. So a fish, what happened is I think going back, I tried again, right? It's like, you got to give it your best try. Can I be straight? Can I be celibate? And then I of course start to realize that this is not just sexuality. This is not just a passing phase. This is actually who I am.
Yeah, it's not just like what you want to stick your dick in. It's like so much more than that.
Yeah, it's a part of who I was. And so I get to a very dark place again. It's like to the point where I'm like, do I even want to be on this earth anymore? Like,
yeah.
And when that happens, of course, like, I have to make a choice. Like, am I going to continue in this way and perhaps unalive myself? Or do I make a different decision? So at that time is when I started leading what they would call a double life and saying, okay, I'm going to go to church. And then as soon as, like, they're not watching, I'm going to go to gay clubs. I'm going to start to meet some people. I'm going to start to make friends. I did start to date boys and had my first kiss.
Are you living on your own at this point?
I did live on my own, yeah.
Okay.
As soon as I could get, wow! The stampede! I love it so much.
They said, not the gay bar.
Get excited. Not gay bars, we're getting out of here. My dogs are homophobic. Wouldn't that be something?
So, are you working? Like...
Yeah. So, part of this whole thing of 18 to 23 is me setting up a life that I actually could do this.
Yeah.
Because I know what the consequences are this time. I already experienced them. I have to have some sort of systems in place that's not going to send me back.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to go running back and say, church, let me in again, because I knew I couldn't go through that again. And I knew that I didn't want to put my parents through that again. For them, it was a spiritual death. It was the death of me. They had to grieve me as if they'd lost a child.
Wow. Sorry about it. I'm just so glad that you had the wherewithal and the strength to say, you know what, I'm not going to unalive myself. I'm actually going to, like, slowly take these steps to ensure that if this is the way it needs to end up, then I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there are so many stories of that not being the case.
No, not at all, I'm sure.
As I started to crawl the support groups for Jehovah's Witnesses and other related religions, by the way, Mormonism has a very, very tainted past with gay people. And shock therapy. It's worth looking into if you're interested in that sort of thing.
One sidebar. Mm-hmm. If we know what the Mormon sort of like outfit is.
Yeah.
What's a Jehovah's Witness like look?
Oh, the magic underwear? Oh, Jehovah's Witness look is similar to this, so you nailed it.
You know, I like to dress in theme.
It's very like traditional, like long skirts, like don't show too much skin. We got a little side boob, but not too much. It's great. This is what they would wear. They don't have like they would wear like general suits and like tie.
Okay.
To services.
Yeah.
I love that you're interested in the fashion at the cult.
I was downtown on Michigan Ave on Thursday, and I saw a few with their little stands.
Now they have the stands.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Every time I go by there, I like think about kicking it, but no, I'm in a better place.
Any Jehovah's Witnesses I've ever witnessed have been white, but probably because I grew up in Michigan, and you know.
Well, one thing about Jehovah's Witnesses is they don't discriminate based on race. I mean, there isn't a class system within. It's sort of everybody starts to scratch. The only class system is men are better than women.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know really because I've been away so long. I have a story that's not mine to share as far as trans persecution within the organization. Just know that it's happening.
I mean, can you give us a brief glimpse of what that is like? I mean, they're just forced to like not...
Same thing.
Explore that, and not, obviously, no transitioning.
No transition. This is like... I don't really know as much about it other than from this friend that I have been talking to about her experience going through this and being excommunicated herself. You know, it was almost identical as mine.
Religions could choose to interpret the Bible in that way, but instead...
Anyway.
The more hate we can get involved in this, the better. Let's just shit on everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I should say that, like, I should say some Christian faiths do that, right? Like, there are... I went to Unitarian, I went to Methodist, which is a Christian faith, that are gay-friendly, trans-friendly. We know that churches, there are some that are very accepting now, even among Catholicism sometimes. So that's not always the case. But generally with the more cult-like religions, that is the case. You know, they're very interested in the gender norms of male, female, and the patriarchy being the ruler, which patriarchy in itself is a cult.
So Jacob.
Yeah, so Winnie.
What are the markers of a cult?
The markers of a cult, it's centered usually around a charismatic person or group of people.
Okay, now in this case, in your case, is that Jehovah himself?
No, it's usually somebody who founded the church. If we think about like L. Ron Hubbard, who founded Church of Scientology, or Joseph Smith, these are people who were charismatic, could convince people easily, just had that gift, right? And initially, like, Jehovah's Witnesses started on a good foundation. It was like they wanted to find an alternative to modern Christianity and Catholicism, which they felt was too drastic, but in itself, in doing that, came up with something even more drastic.
Yeah, right? When was it sort of invented?
I think it was early 1900s. I'd have to look at that.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I
just love when religions are just so die hard about something that they invented like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even that.
No.
It's not even been around for that long, and they're willing to, like, lose their family and die for it. And it's just like, girl.
Yeah. And
they invented this on the back of a cereal box or something.
Exactly. And it's such an interesting thing to just take the same, as we've talked about, like the same group of scriptures, the same exact text, and just find a different way to explain death. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so the other ones are information monopoly. This is like, we can disseminate the truth. Nobody else can disseminate the truth. If you need to know the answers, you come to us. You don't go to anybody else. Isolation and shunning. Just gave an example of that.
Yes.
That's a big part of a cult. The idea that if you threaten our belief system, you will be tossed out. And if you threaten it further, once you're tossed out, you'll be further ostracized.
And you almost need people to go through like what you went through so they can show other church members, like, see, this is what'll happen to you.
Oh, yeah.
If you do anything wrong. So
what's that called? A cautionary tale. I am absolutely used as a cautionary tale to this day. Purity tests and loyalty. That's sort of like around you need to do this thing. Like for me, it was getting baptized when I was 14. This is a purity test. This is a way that you can show to God that you love him, and the church that you love the church. Another marker is financial things, usually like lack of transparency around financial, or like give me all your money. There are extreme forms of that. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that usually in the news we see the extreme forms of cult, right? Like Charles Manson, the Branch Davidians, the Nexium cult, like we just talked about.
Jim Jones.
Yeah. And so often those are the extreme version. I think that it's good to talk about the still extreme but less extreme versions of that, because these things exist in not just religion. These things, as we've talked about MAGA, exist in other spots in our society.
Yeah, and with Nexium, a more recent cult, MAGA, a more recent cult, when it starts small. It starts very, like they say, you know, don't ever think that you are not susceptible to falling for a cult, because no one that's in a cult the whole time, like when they're getting indoctrinated, are like, I'm really digging this, getting into this cult, like, let's do this. Like, no, they are thinking they've found this new community, and
yes,
like
exactly.
They're being sort of love bombed and being kept from like the darkest darkness.
Yeah.
Like Scientology, they don't even get to know like what they're actually following for the longest time, and then they find out it's Xenu.
Absolutely. There's this feeling of brotherhood. They even will call each other brother or sister sometimes, as like brother, whatever,
family.
Sister. And there's like this idea that they're part of a family. And especially, as I mentioned, my grandmother, who originally was the first one to bring the Jehovah's Witness faith into our family, she lost a child at a very young age. So for me, it was always like, I think about, and I tell the story in the way I need to tell the story, is that she was very vulnerable and didn't have a way to explain why this awful thing had happened to her. And Jehovah's Witnesses show up at her door, and she's like, I can see my child again. like, because my child will be resurrected in this after the War of Armageddon. So that is a comforting thing for a mother who's lost their child.
Yeah. Wow.
And then the us versus them narrative. And that's, I mean, us versus them narrative, that's everywhere. But it's really like, you know, we're the believers, this is the worldly people, these are the people that, you know, you don't want to get attached to. Even this idea that you don't want to put your roots out into this world that we live in now, because it's going to get wiped out anyway. Which is somewhat sad to think about. Like, you're going to give up living this life because you're waiting for the next better thing.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Yeah, and humans are, like, inherently, like, pack animals, and we say that in current times, we're not meant to be as famous as people are now. We're not meant to put something on the internet for millions and millions of people to see, because the way that we developed and our brains developed and everything, we're in smaller social structures. So, like, we love our groups, but when it gets bigger than that, it's scary and wrong, and you don't believe what I believe, so you are going to rot in hell, and I'm going to go to heaven. So it sort of makes sense how these things happened. It just sucks so bad that humans.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, we know that there's duality in everything, right? And that's part of the reason why I'm able to talk about this in a relaxed way and just be like, not mad at my family or mad at anybody anymore. It's because for me, it was very destructive and harmful. For them, it's very hopeful. It's a way that they can explain and live, you know, somewhat peacefully without the outer influence. Like, they can shut everything out. They don't have to think about it. It's sort of like the beliefs are given to them. It's an easy way.
I didn't realize that they were both born into it. So as long as they didn't have any, like, you know, differences like homosexuality, transness, anything like that, they were like, yeah, no, this is perfect. This is obviously the way it's supposed to be, because this is all I've ever known, and I fall right into what we're supposed to do. So, of course I'm right, because they've told me my whole life I'm right. It's
there's sort of
totally
no way to question it.
And crazy when the person who's folded into it then has the kids, and so they made this choice consciously, knowing that they maybe had this whole life beforehand that wasn't religious at all or whatever, but they're still like, and you are now forced to be a part of this because it helped us, so
we think it'll help you too.
We don't want you to go to hell, so...
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so those are the markers of a cult.
Yes, and we see that all the time. I mean, we see that in the... like, what's something... Fucking Labubu.
The cult of Labubu.
But you know what I mean?
I don't know much about it. I'm trying to avoid
like,
that
even
topic.
like a micro trend or a trend like that, something just stupid, some product that everyone wants. There is cult-like things. Exclusive. Only certain people get these certain things. You have to like be the type of person that's going to wait in line outside of a store for half a day, or, you know, like, I don't know what I don't have like rock solid examples, but it does permeate society. Fandoms,
yes, fandoms are very toxic and can be cult-like as well. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about even CEOs of corporations. So CEOs are generally very charismatic people. They know how to gaslight you. They have all the manipulation tactics that one would have.
Sociopathy.
Yeah, that would be able to convince you to stay at an organization, kind of like hide the truth, be non-transparent with financials. Like, CEOs are individual cults most of the time to me. And then, like you said, in little social groups of things, wherever somebody sets up an us versus them mentality, that is cult-like. There's a great podcast, Sarah, who left NXIVM Cult, has a podcast with her husband.
Love her.
Called A Little Bit Culty. It's a wonderful podcast to listen to. And then, and then we were thinking, well, how does this fit into reality competition? Which it really, really does. Because we have examples of very charismatic people coming into the game and using manipulation. I will say that Survivor is consensual and it's not as damaging, but people do go home with PTSD.
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't underestimate the even for a short period of time, how fucked up somebody can get from living all day, 24/7, thinking, who's lying to me? Everyone's lying to me. What do I not know? What am I being left out of? How do I get in good? Who do I have to impress to get to this like level? Like I imagine it's nuts.
And then the ability, like, and Parvati talked about it in her book, right? It's like going away and knowing that you have all of these skills of being able to manipulate people and deceive people in that way, and being like, I'm an awful person because I'm able to do this. Absolutely. So what's your favorite cult of Survivor?
My favorite cult of Survivor. I remember, I feel like we've talked about this before, but in South Pacific, I remember where I was living at the time, and this was during the time where I was isolated in my love of Survivor.
This is the coach cult.
Yes.
Okay.
And who doesn't love when you're a fan? Who doesn't love when it's like Survivor time? Yeah. But during that time, it was like, oh, great! Like, I get excited. Oh, the episode's tonight, and then I remember, oh fuck, like, it's the praying and the family and everything. And the saving grace of that season was Sophie and her talking heads of being like, okay, let me just lay this out. I hold hands. I pray with them. I don't say the words, and I think it's bullshit. And she went on to win, thank God. But I didn't remember this, but she only won by 2 votes. People still voted for Coach to win.
Which is outrageous.
Because,
but I mean, I get it, because they were in the cult, right?
And also, I didn't remember that during the time in the episodes, people were referring to it as Coach's cult. Like, it wasn't just this thing that, like, we as viewers said.
In the cult as well? Or people outside with a, like, more
I believe people in the cult did not say that until they ended up in Ponderosa.
Oh, and then they went to Ponderosa and they were like, girl, I got thrown for a loop with that cult.
Yeah. And it falls under all of the things. If there was money on the island, I bet Coach would have asked them all to give that to him.
They would have.
It was so manipulative. It was they literally called it the family. Mm-hmm. And if you were outside of it, you were ostracized. Mm-hmm. And we were the good people, you were the bad people.
Yep. Us versus them.
And the good people need to go to the end. And the amount of times that Coach clearly used it to manipulate, like the one specific time which Sophie brings up in the final tribal, which cinches her the win probably. Mm-hmm. Earlier on in the season, Coach had already found the hidden immunity idol.
Oh, I don't remember that.
But only he and Sophie knew. I think maybe Albert knew too. But Brandon didn't know. And they all stood in a circle and prayed to God to help us find this idol. And it's Sophie's talking head of being like, I don't feel too bad because I wasn't actually doing the praying, but it was a little gross to hear Coach praying to God to find an idol that I know full well he has in his pocket.
Oh, and my God.
Then they go disperse to go look for it after praying to God, and then they fabricate this like, oh, come here, everyone, I found it. And Brandon is like double, triple in it to win it with the cult-like mentality. And he be loving God. So he's like, oh, God blessed us, helping us find. Because God gives a fuck about Survivor.
That's the thing that kills me.
Doesn't give a shit.
Is the ego that's needed to say that God is looking after this game and helping me find an idol for this game. So like, it's just, I mean, it's the same as football games and like basketball games. Like, God isn't watching your game to make sure you win and making sure the other team loses. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so at the final tribal, Sophie's like, oh yeah, there was this one time, and she like is so cool and chill and nonchalant about it, knowing full well that this is going to like turn Coach's game over for some people. And you can visibly see Brandon just like melt, like, oh my God.
He used it. Yeah.
He used me for that. And Coach's face dropped too, realizing, oh, I thought we were going to keep that under wraps forever.
I thought we were keeping that under wraps. That's, yeah, as I was looking, thank you, because I don't remember South Pacific as well. It's one of my rewatch that I need to rewatch. But as I was looking at other people like Boston Rob was the one that I looked at this morning in Redemption Island.
Which, okay, so that this season was Redemption Island Part 2.
Oh, it was. Yeah,
Because
it was after.
they
Because it
brought
was
back
Philip,
Coach
too?
and Ozzy.
Oh, okay.
And I guess the same time the tribe swap, the same time the merge, everything happened exactly the same as in that season.
Yeah, so it
with
was one of
Rob.
the odd and even seasons that are filmed back to back, probably.
It was almost like they were like, well, this worked for Rob
Yeah.
and his cult, so they almost like manufactured it again, hoping
That Coach would win.
that this whole cult would happen.
Yeah.
So okay, talk to me about Rob's.
Oh, Rob. Yeah, I
season.
mean, all the markers of a cult. But the thing is that I was thinking, in religious cults, it's like you wonder if this leader that's in a religious cult actually believes all the stuff that they're saying, because a lot of the times I do think that they actually believe the things that they're putting out. Whereas it's interesting to watch somebody who's like, I know what I'm doing with them. Like, I know that I'm disseminating information. I know that I'm this charismatic person who can convince anybody to do anything. And he just used that, and he used all the skills that were available to him. And it's like those captain seasons where people come back. I think that I saw that usually people don't win. Usually the captain person, like Stephanie Grossa, for example, was one of those captain people. She didn't win. It is kind of miraculous that he still won. But, like, the buddy system, the dissemination of information was completely by him. He didn't want anybody talking. And he was, like, instrumental in setting up everyone being assholes to the other portion of the tribe that wasn't part of this.
Yeah. Well, and the same thing happened. So with Coach, he set it up more like the loyalty of the family. And if you're not with us, you're against us. As where Rob sort of ruled with fear and intimidation.
Yeah, there's a lot of intimidation there.
Yeah.
And Russell does the same thing. But it's interesting, too, with Rob, Philip Shepard was one of his lackeys. And then if you remember, I think it's the next season or maybe 2 seasons, Kira Moen, Philip comes back and starts to Spies Are Us cult. Which is just like an offshoot. So it continues.
Yeah, and part of the markers of a cult is nicknames.
Nicknames, yes.
Yeah, like
right.
in knowledge, where it's like, we know.
We're in on
other
this.
People don't know
and
about.
nobody else, is in on this.
I mean, what a great opportunity to do something like that when you're in this enclosed, concentrated environment. The game's moving so fast. Everyone's head is spinning. And if you've played the game before, multiple times before, you are totally unfazed by all of that.
Yeah.
So you can really sit back and say, how can I puppet master this? Because I'm not all like, oh, wow, it's crazy living outside. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And they really did cast that season to help.
Well, that's what I was thinking. In order for this to work, like, there has to be people this would work on. And I'm sorry, but having gone through what I've gone through, I would recognize the manipulation tactics immediately. I recognize them in my regular life. If somebody is manipulative, a lot of times I'll be like, well, I mean, they're maybe not doing it maliciously.
Yeah.
But I think I would have noticed in this one.
Rob has this sort of alpha male sort of like releasing pheromones into the air where
Just like, shh, 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 shh.
yes, Rob's missed.
I think another example of this is Russell. I mean, he is the king of intimidation and more brutal tactics, I think.
Yeah,
Intimidation and
yes.
chaos, and ruling people by setting up disagreements with people, or chaos by hiding things. Like, he is kind of a shitty example of this.
And also, if you're not with me, you're against me.
And I, and I was
Against you,
thinking,
Russell.
when you just said that, I was thinking of an example where this didn't work is when Rob used this against Jerry, and Jerry's like, no. Because Rob in Heroes versus Villains is like, you're smart, you'll understand what you need to do. Kind of like trying to manipulate her into thinking or using some tactic like that. And she's like, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So it can definitely backfire. And I think it backfires on Rob if he finds somebody that's not like an innocent who's going to go along with his plan.
Yeah, in that season with Coach, he put a lot of tactics on Cochran. Cochran saw right through it, played into it for his own advantage, but was like very clear on like, I know what's happening here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not falling for it. However, I'm allowing it to happen so that I can get in and stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, the other two, I mean, we have to say, I don't know, what do you think about Kim Spradlin as a cult leader? I don't think that she was as manipulative, but she's the kind of cult leader who would be able to, like, backstab you and lie and deceive you, and then you still like her. You'd be like, oh, I really like you still.
Specific term. Kim's soft power relational control.
Yes.
Broad trust web, centralized info, gentle but firm enforcement, social compliance over open debate, dissent diffused early. Yeah, she was so sweet. She was never like shitty to anyone or was never like intimidating, but like maybe like soft intimidation.
But that's the most insidious type of cult leader.
Yeah.
Is the one who could just like fuck you up and then you'd be like, oh, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
that. Yeah.
And I do think that our girl Parvati has that skill as well.
Didn't she say that on Deal or No
She
Deal
does.
Island?
She said I could be a cult leader if I wanted to. The thing with Parvati is now that that's not her part of her personality at all. But yeah, I mean, an act of loyalty, a marker of a cult, was them saying to Eric, like, you have to have this act of loyalty to us, and he fell for it. Anything else you want to talk about?
Just like, I want to know more of how you were able to build your life from scratch almost.
Well, that will be part 2. No, I'm kidding.
And how it is now, because that was almost half your life ago.
Yeah.
So, and you're doing pretty well. I mean,
Thank you.
You've really grown, and you stand on your own 2 feet.
Thank you.
And I also have a follow-up, but let's talk about that first.
Yeah, so it's been several different iterations, right? When I was 25, I wrote an album. I'm a musician, so the catharsis for me was to write this album called The Afflicted. It was about my experiences with Jehovah's Witnesses. It was very angry, and that's where I was at that point, right? Separate from what Parvati has in her book of, like, life being burned down to reclaim your power, my life was burned down for me. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like I got the chance to burn it down on my own, so I had another go at it. And after I really deprogrammed, like, there's a whole we talk a lot about when you believe something, you have to come to unbelieve it. And I had to come to unbelieve this. I had to deprogram. I had to have other examples of people who didn't have this sort of way of dealing with relationships, people that were healthy, people that were balanced, people that didn't have conditions for loving. That was important. But then, I struggled with addiction. And, once I got sober, I myself had to burn down my life on my own and rebuild it. So that's been the newest iteration, right? Of like me being sort of always, when I got sober, I felt like I was a broken person. When I would tell this to people like potential dating, they would kind of look at me with discomfort, but that's because I was telling my story with discomfort, right? Mm-hmm. I wasn't telling my story in a way that's like, this has been resolved. This is the way that it is. But whenever you say, I don't talk to my family anymore, that's sometimes a red flag for people.
Yeah. What, if you're comfortable talking about it, what is your sort of status right now with, do you just absolutely not speak to your family at all? They don't speak to you?
Well, most of them are gone. I mean, just like my dad passed away when I was 25. My sister died of a drug overdose a few years ago.
Was she still in the church when that happened, or had she left too?
It was an adjacent issue, I would say, with the church. And she had her own struggle as far as that goes, and I don't think that it ever helped her. However, I mean, I've made peace with the fact that there are still people that are living, I think we've talked about, in my family that do not talk to me. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing because, as I said, we can now look at things as many things can be true. Mm-hmm. Although this was harmful to me, it's very helpful to my mother. It's very calming and peaceful for her to be part of this community and part of that organization, even if she had to sort of leave behind her son in order to do so. So I've come to peace with it. There isn't a relationship, and I don't think there will be. And that's part of, like, part of me reclaiming my power recently was building my own sense of family. They always talk about chosen family, and those are your friends, and that's been crucial. And building my family as far as like that sense of family that I get with Jeremy and the dogs and like his family, that's what I've been building. And so that has been incredibly healing.
Great.
Well,
we're happy you found your way.
Yeah, I
love you very much, and you're
love you
very,
too.
very strong.
We're resilient.
We had plenty of opportunities to give in, throw in the towel, say it's too hard. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and you have to kind of go through those terrible, terrible things.
Okay, Kelly Clarkson. Yeah. All right. Anything left? No. What are you doing the rest of the day?
Well, I'm gonna go home,
scooting yourself with your trad wife skirt.
Go scoot home in this trad wife skirt, wash off this full face of makeup, and then turn around and come right back here, and we're gonna watch.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we're gonna come back and play video games together.
Yes,
that'll be fun.
We're finishing up The Quarry.
The Quarry. Yes, I love it.
Yeah,
it's a fun game, and it's like very collaborative and.
Yeah, I don't care for like cinematic games like that. Like I watch movies for that.
Yeah. On your own.
That, but yeah, in a group of people, super fun. We'll probably like order dinner. Like it'll be fun.
We will order dinner.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's time to go to bed. I'm just kidding.
We should, oh my god!
I'm exhausted.
Can we have like I want like a conclusion song that we like.
Yeah.
So long,
farewell. Auf Wiedersehen, good night. Well, that's about Nazi Germany, but.
Anyways, thanks for tuning in. We are going to take a little 3-week hiatus.
All right. Yes, we are.
So the boys can go be fabulous in Nantucket and P-Town.
Yeah.
Tell P-Town I said hi.
I will.
My experience with P-Town was going and doing several shows there when I was a drag queen.
Oh.
At one time I had quit drinking for 2 months because I had fucked up my Pride hosting thing so badly. I may have told the story. But when I got to Boston and you're waiting for the ferry, I was like, that's a bar right there. I had 2 to 3 Long Islands before I even got on the boat. More drinks on the boat. By the time I walked up, my friend was already there. He has a video of me in this big purple hat just fucking coming off that boat like...
Yeah, I know that an alcoholic was the one that invented the Long Island iced tea because there's no other explanation. Let's put 4 different liquors together or 5 and then call it a tea.
But in Provincetown, so great, so beautiful.
Yeah, I've never been.
You're going to find that it is about from Addison to Halstead.
Really?
It is
very
just a
small.
little strip by the ocean.
Cram all those gays in.
And cram it all in. What's cool is every performer has to bark for their shows. So you'll see like the most famous people there that are putting shows on still standing in the street at 2 p.m. being like, come see my show.
Oh,
here's a flyer.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah. But the last time I went, I feel like the curtain was pulled back a little bit, and this happened to me in LA too, where you sort of saw the seedy underbelly and like
dark underbelly. We were
like
talking about
the infighting between bar owners and stuff, and it's just like once you know that stuff, you're kind of like, So as beautiful and cool as P-Town is, I don't know if I never went back, I'll be okay.
Yeah, well, we'll see if we'll go back, but yeah. Okay.
No, you'll have fun. I mean, first time, for sure. Super cute. Get yourself a lobster roll.
Oh, yes.
12.
Well, I have been to the Cape before and had a lobster roll. They're not like that in Chicago. It's like more celery and mayonnaise.
I love
seafood.
Like, honestly, I've tried to be vegetarian so many times, but I have to end up being pescatarian because I just love seafood so much.
I do too.
Like, grew up in the Midwest
but
where...
Don't eat shellfish. That's an abomination.
Probably the worst place to love seafood. Like, save it for the coasts.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
Anyway.
All right, well, couple weeks. Yeah.
Yes, get ready for the marketing onslaught. I apologize in advance, but
Oh, honey,
we're
get
rolling
ready.
out a TikTok,
We gotta get some
baby.
reels going.
We got to get some subscribers, some listeners, some followers.
Well, we have listeners.
More.
More.